Welcome back to Investing Talk podcast. Today, we're tackling a big one, really digging into Coinbase Global. It's definitely one of the most talked about names, maybe one of the most polarizing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, our sources, we've got analyst reports, financials, technical charts. They're showing this like striking paradox we need to figure out. And the big question for you listening in is basically, is now the right moment to jump in and buy Coinbase shares? Or are there too many red flags? Okay, but before we get into all that data, could you do us a quick solid? Hit subscribe if you haven't, maybe give us a like, and definitely drop a comment below. We genuinely love hearing what you think. And hey, if there's another company you want us to investigate next time, just let us know in those comments. We're always up for a challenge.
Absolutely. And to frame this, we have to start with that paradox you mentioned. The last 3 months, July through September, it's been wild. Our sources show these two forces just clashing. On one hand, you've got really significant insider selling. Big names, big amounts, the kind that usually makes investors nervous. But then, at the exact same time, you're seeing huge institutional buying interest. And analysts, they're getting super bullish, cranking up price targets.
Yeah.
So our goal today is to cut through that noise, look at the actual fundamentals, check the technical momentum, and pinpoint the big things coming up that could shake the stock in the next, say, 90 days.
Okay, let's dive into that contradiction then, focusing on July to September 2025. You mentioned insider selling, specifically trusts linked to CEO Brian Armstrong. What was going on there?
Well, if you were just watching the filings, you'd see these steady sales, and they weren't small. These were major liquidity events. Just look at July. We saw trusts involved in transactions over $150 million total. There were separate filings, one for $72.88 million, another for $78.90 million.
Wow, that's a lot of selling pressure.
Exactly. When that much supply hits the market, especially from insiders or related parties, it naturally weighs on the stock price. Normally, you'd expect sentiment to turn pretty bearish.
But that's where it gets weird, right? Because despite all that selling throughout the quarter, the stock price, it held up surprisingly well.
It really did. Showed remarkable resilience. It didn't just hold its ground. Sometimes it actually outperformed the wider tech sector during certain trading days.
So what was the market seeing that outweighed those big insider sales? What were they valuing more?
Two main things, I think. First, strategic moves by the company. And second, strong external validation. The big strategic move was back in July. The Dividend acquisition. This wasn't just another small deal. It was a major pivot.
Dividend, that's the crypto derivatives exchange.
That's the one. A leader in the space.
Yeah.
Buying them signals Coinbase is getting serious, really serious, about the global derivatives market.
And why is that such a big deal compared to just, regular crypto trading?
Because it diversifies where their money comes from.
Yeah.
It makes them less dependent on just the fees from retail investors buying and selling Bitcoin or whatever based on price swings, which can be super volatile. Derivatives are a whole different beast, huge volumes. Dividend apparently did something like $185 billion in volume just in July.
$185 billion in 1 month.
Yep. That kind of volume puts Coinbase in a totally different category. It means potentially more stable, high-margin revenue from institutional trading, less reliance on the whims of the spot market.
Okay, so that's the strategic diversification. What was the external validation you mentioned?
That came largely from the analyst community. We saw these huge upgrades, basically big Wall Street firms giving their stamp of approval, like Sanford C. Bernstein. They jacked up their price target from $310 all the way to $510.
Wait, $510? That's a massive revision. What possibly justifies that kind of leap?
It ties back to that idea of a competitive moat and capturing the regulated institutional money flow. The analysts are basically saying Coinbase has become the go-to platform for institutions in the U.S. that need a compliant, trusted way to get into crypto. And you saw evidence of this. Flows from treasury clients, hedge funds. They picked up through August and September. Corporate adoption of crypto is rising, and Coinbase seems to be the main beneficiary. So that $510 target, it's not just about retail trading. It's a bet on market dominance and long-term fees from institutional custody and services. Oppenheimer also stayed bullish, by the way, kept their outperform rating with a $470 target.
Got it. So moving past sentiment and strategy,
Yeah.
let's look under the hood. The Q2 2025 financials. How healthy is the company fundamentally?
Fundamentally. Pretty impressive, especially on efficiency. Q2 net revenue came in at $1.92 billion. That's up 32% year over year.
32% growth. Is that actually that fast for a company in this space, given the potential market size?
That's a fair point. Growth rates can always be debated, but the key here is profitability. They manage that revenue incredibly efficiently. Net income was $661 million. That works out to a 34% net profit margin, which is strong.
Okay, 34% margin is definitely strong.
Right. And here's the kicker. Operating expenses only grew 10% year over year. So revenue grew way faster than costs. That's operating leverage in action. They're keeping more of every dollar that comes in.
That makes sense. More profit for every bit of growth.
Exactly. And analysts think this trend continues. The consensus for Q3, which we'll hear about soon, is looking for roughly 29% revenue growth year over year. But EPS, earnings per share, is expected to jump even more, like 38%. Management seems confident too. They raised their guidance for the full year 2025, now targeting $7.5 to $8.3 billion in revenue.
And in crypto, maybe more than other sectors, stability is key. How's their cash situation? Can they handle shocks?
Oh, yeah. Their financial foundation is rock solid. They're sitting on $4.1 billion in cash and equivalents.
Okay.
And crucially, no significant long-term debt. That gives them massive flexibility for more acquisitions like Deribit or just weathering storms. Plus, they're generating cash. Free cash flow over the last 12 months was $2.2 billion. That shows the business model works. It funds itself.
So that financial strength backs up the competitive advantage, the moat you talked about.
Precisely. It reinforces it. They are the dominant regulated player in the U.S. Estimates put their spot trading market share around 30%, maybe more. It's the brand, the regulatory compliance focus, the advanced stuff like staking, custody for institutions. That's why the big money feels comfortable there. Remember those record institutional inflows in Q2? $18 billion. That tells you something.
Okay, so strong fundamentals, a regulatory edge. Is the stock chart finally reflecting this underlying strength? Let's talk technicals. Where does the stock stand now?
Well, as of yesterday's close, October 8th, 2025, it was trading around $382.98. And technically, the chart looks pretty clearly bullish. Since those July sales, you see this consistent pattern. Higher lows, higher highs. It suggests that buying demand, likely institutional, is just soaking up any selling pressure.
Okay, so for someone maybe looking to trade this or find an entry point, what are the key price levels to watch? Support and resistance.
Support has been really solid in the $325 to $340 zone. That area held up well during recent pullbacks. And importantly, that zone lines up almost perfectly with the 50-day moving average, which is around $325.17 right now. That's been a reliable floor.
And on the upside, where's it trying to get to?
Well, it recently broke through a psychological barrier between $375 and $305. That was a good sign. The next targets analysts are watching are probably around $410, and then maybe a push towards $450. Momentum looks healthy too. It's trading comfortably above both the 50-day and the longer-term 200-day moving average, $275.07. The RSI, a momentum indicator, is around 59.42. It's strong, but not yet overbought, so there could still be room to run.
So based on the charts, the outlook for the next, say, 3 months looks like a trading range, roughly between $307.50 and $430, maybe spikes higher on news.
That seems like a reasonable technical range, yeah, with potential to definitely test $450 or even higher if we get some positive catalysts.
Okay, speaking of catalysts, if we connect the technical picture to what's actually coming up, the calendar looks packed, doesn't it?
It really does. The next few months are critical. First up, the most immediate one, Q3 earnings. We're expecting that release late October, maybe early November. Think October 31st or November 6th, somewhere in there.
And expectations are high, right? Based on that analyst consensus.
Yeah, the market wants to see confirmation of that strong year-over-year growth in revenue. And importantly, EPS. A beat there could definitely pop the stock. But earnings aren't the only thing. Product launches matter too. There's a lot of focus on the expected October launch, so like any day now, of their institutional staking platform.
For the EU and US market.
Exactly. This is targeting a huge pool of assets, reportedly around $100 billion. Staking offers recurring, potentially high-margin revenue. That's very attractive.
Makes sense. What about external market stuff? Index changes?
Yep. Keep an eye on mid-November. That's when we typically see index rebalancing for things like the S&P 500 and potentially some crypto ETFs. When indices rebalance, passive funds have to buy or sell shares to match the new weightings. If Coinbase weighting increases, that means forced buying, which drives volume and can lift the price.
Right, the index fund effect. And then December brings the big reveal on institutional positioning.
That's right. December 8th, roughly, is the deadline for the 13F filings.
For listeners who don't track these, what are 13Fs again?
They're quarterly reports where big money managers, hedge funds, large asset managers have to disclose their holdings. So we'll see exactly who was buying Coinbase in Q3. We already heard institutional holdings went up about 6% last quarter. So the 13Fs will give us the names and conviction levels that could really boost confidence if we see major funds adding big positions.
Anything else on the catalyst front? Partnerships, regulations?
Yeah, keep an eye out for potential approvals for listing more tokens in Q4. That always helps activity. And maybe follow-up news on those partnerships announced back in September with big names like Fidelity and BlackRock.
Okay, this brings us towards the more speculative side of things. The rumors, the potential home runs, but also the risks. What's the biggest buzz about potential upside?
A lot of the chatter is still around spot crypto ETFs in the US. If more get approved.
Which seems likely eventually.
Right. If more get the green light, the speculation is that Coinbase, being the regulated trusted name, will grab a huge chunk of the custody business and service fees from those ETFs. That would be a massive win for stable recurring revenue.
And what about partnerships? Any big rumors floating around?
But we always hear market chatter, things like potential integrations with, say, Facebook Meta's payment systems. That would be huge for adoption, obviously.
Yeah.
And also some whispers, less substantiated maybe, about acquisitions in Latin America, suggesting they might be speeding up their international expansion plans.
Okay, but we have to be balanced. Every investment has risks. What's the main thing that could derail this bullish picture for Coinbase?
Number one risk, hands down, is still regulatory uncertainty. It's the big elephant in the room for the whole crypto space. While Coinbase has tried hard to be compliant, the rules can change quickly globally or just in the U.S.
Yeah.
An unexpected crackdown or unfavorable new regulation could definitely hurt momentum.
That makes sense. Though you mentioned their diversified model helps cushion that a bit.
It does help cushion against general crypto price volatility, yes.
Yeah.
But a direct regulatory hit is always the key company-specific risk here.
Got it. And let's just circle back one last time to the insider activity. You mentioned the trusts selling, but there was a crucial detail about Brian Armstrong himself, right?
Yes, and this is a really important distinction. While those trusts linked to him were selling, which can often be for planned diversification or estate planning, things like that,
Okay.
Brian Armstrong personally bought shares. Our sources show he bought 40,000 shares himself between August and September.
Ah, so he was buying personally while the trusts were selling.
Exactly, at an average price around $365 per share. That's a strong signal of personal belief in the company's future, directly countering the narrative from just looking at the trust sales.
That really does change the perspective on the insider moves. Okay, so let's try to pull all this together. We've got accelerating revenue, impressive margins, tons of cash, strong technicals pointing higher, a packed catalyst calendar.
And that key nuance on the insider buying.
Right. It paints a pretty bullish picture overall, doesn't it?
Based purely on the sources we've reviewed today, yes. The synthesis leads to a strongly bullish outlook. I'd rate it high, maybe a 9 out of 10, based on this evidence. And it seems attractive for different types of investors, Short-term traders might play the Q4 catalysts, earnings, product launch. But long-term investors, they're likely looking at that structural advantage, the regulatory moat, the move into derivatives, the institutional adoption story.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, listener, to ponder. Given that big strategic move into derivatives with Deribit, remember, that's a business potentially less tied to volatile Bitcoin prices. Is Coinbase actually transforming itself? Is it moving from just being a cyclical crypto exchange to becoming more like a diversified, stable financial tech platform? And could that provide a whole new layer of stability to the business going forward? Something to think about.